Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Grace if you're new here, and this is Rusty Thicket Studio. We are on Chapter 9, Series 9, Row 9 of this little 100 of my favorite Goblincore things to paint. So that means we only have one row left after this one, and I'm pretty excited to have this complete. I have decided that at the end of next week's video, when everything is freshly painted and completed, I'm going to come back in and add some glittery, sparkly, metallic highlights and stuff on some things. I just see there are so many good places that I could add in some beautiful glittery watercolors that I just think it's absolutely necessary, especially since I will probably be keeping this finished version for myself. And I really hope that that will end up showing up well on the scan, you know, even though it won't be actually shimmery. I still think it will add some little highlights and some really beautiful texture to it. So I'm excited to be doing that at the end. I will do it after everything is finished, but it'll be part of next week's video. But today we are going to be starting off with an oak leaf. I think they are beautiful fall colored trees anyway, but they just remind me a lot of home. We have a lot of oak leaves, especially the bright yellow ones where I'm from, and we're going to come back in and add a lot more detail to that, but I think we're doing the maple next week, and although that's quintessential fall to me, an oak leaf is just so soft and round, and I don't know, they're one of my favorites. And then this little guy is a squirrel. I don't know if you know this or not, but we do not have squirrels here in Okinawa in Japan, and I really miss the little guys. I don't see hardly any small critters here, and I really miss a squirrel, and I can't wait to get back and kind of interact with them again. Just see them running around in the parks and things. And I will, in a couple of weeks, have updates on where we might be going next. We're waiting for some official news, but we do have an idea. And I'll do a whole video on that, just so we can kind of play catch up. This here is ivy. I love ivy because of just the way it climbs things and stuff. Makes buildings and old forests seem really magical. You see it a lot in, I think, like storybook kind of things. You know, you got the towers and stuff like Rapunzel with all the ivy coming down it and going up them, and it's a lot of fun to paint on old wells and things like that. I have painted my whole life, but one of my other favorite creative outlets has always been photography. I'm no good at it. I don't really find myself understanding it the way that I wish that I did as far as the really great expensive kind of stuff goes. My husband, however, is incredible at it, so you know, if you see some great product photography coming up, he's either taught me or he's done it himself, so keep an eye out for that, I guess. But I do love my camera. I love hauling it around. The one I'm using right now looks very similar to this. It's a Sony. That's what I typically do for studio stuff. And then obviously you can't love fall if you don't love pumpkins. I don't think, like, it just kind of does not compute. I am a pumpkin spice girly. Don't get it twisted. I'm as basic white girl as they come most of the time, and if it comes in a pumpkin flavor, I'm trying it. And this here's chocolate, but not just any chocolate, it's dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is very much my favorite. I will not turn down any chocolate, but if I had the choice between milk and dark, it's dark 100%. Let me know in the comment section down below if you agree. Some people really hate dark chocolate. It's kind of sad. And this little guy is just a generic toad. I love a frog, but toads have so much weird personality, just being slightly different than their frog brethren. I love how bumpy and rough and textured they are, and they usually have those like really deep, gargly croaks, which are a lot of fun. And then that's a little letter. We'll get back to that in a minute. This here is my favorite slug. Now, I have favorite snails and things like that, but my absolute favorite slug is the banana slug. They are bright yellow. I would love to see one in person one day. That would be really cool, but I just think they're extremely unique. They're huge from what pictures I've seen, and I don't know, anything that's bright yellow in nature really catches my eye. Flowers, butterflies, moths, spiders. I've seen some bright yellow spiders. That's really cool. And speaking of spider, this here is a little friendly jumping spider. They're my favorite just because I know they're not going to bother me. We have them all over the house here, which makes great food for the geckos, but also really helps keep control of the ants and gnats and mosquitoes and things. So when I see them in the corners, I just say, hey, what's up, and let them go about their day. We're going to come in and add some darker red here. I wanted to show a little bit more of a gradation, but it kind of just consumed me. So there's not as much orange in it as I would like, but truthfully, the deep reds are my favorite anyway, so. But then I have to come back in later and add in some little green splotches. I like that look when they have, like they've been splattered with paint. So we'll do that at the very end. And then I just wanted to add some texture to this little squirrel because they're so fuzzy. He's looking very teddy bear, but they kind of are like little teddy bears. In a weird way. I can't wait to have plants again. I think we've talked about this before when I was doing the houseplant painting, but ivy is one of the ones I can't wait to have. That and a pothos. I love a trailing vine of any kind, or any kind of trailing plant. To add a little bit of color to this camera, we're going to do a purple strap. My strap that I have for mine is actually green, but we've got a lot of green going on in these areas here, and I want to keep all of our colors spaced out. Pumpkins are one of those things that I just randomly doodle, like if I'm on the phone or, you know, sitting in a doctor's office waiting room, something like that. And then I wasn't really sure what to paint the wrapper of this dark chocolate, so I looked around and saw that it would be nice to balance out some more blue. So it's a non-denominational dark chocolate, but I think my favorite is probably Ghirardelli. And then we've got to go in and add some more texture to this guy. I really wanted him to have kind of that like green, tan, kind of clay vibe to him. And something about me, I love a card, I love a handwritten letter, I love little notes and things like that. I think snail mail is precious and we shouldn't let that go. And it's been a lot more difficult for me to send stuff out here. It's just my post office is a little bit of a pain to work with. So I can't wait to get back to that more in the States. wanted this guy to look really fluffy and friendly. That's why he's so plump and round, to really help convey that. Alright, and here we are adding in some of these little green speckles. I think for the maple next week, I'm going to stick to a nice bright solid color, but I really love all of the texture in the oak leaf. It's one of the fun things about watercolor. It does flowers and things like that so well. And then of course we've got to come back in for some shading. Adding all these layers are my favorite part. And if you can tell, I'm not really stressed out about things making too much sense. I'm just kind of going with my gut here. I'm making it look the way that I want to. Sometimes there are 2 or 3 light sources, and I'm okay with that. And you can be too, when you're working on your things. I think this little spider turned out absolutely perfect. He's probably one of my favorite ones on this row by the time I get done with him and adding in all of those little white jelly roll marks here at the end. Of course, we've got to give his spider web some attention. I was very heavy-handed with this row. I had to use the paper towel quite a bit, as you can see. That's okay. I'm very lost in an audiobook right now, so that's probably part of the reason why. And here we are, right before we do the jelly roll pen. I think they've all turned out super cute. And if you can see on the row above how much whiter and brighter that looks than immediately after the video, I can't wait to see what the scans of this will look like. These little bitty paintings are almost a little too small for the thickness of this jelly roll pen, so if anybody has any suggestions on some much smaller, finer white pens, let me know, because I tried just about everything before I stuck to this guy, and sometimes it's just not fine enough. Lots of little textures on this guy. Gotta hit the wax seal, of course. And then I think you'll see here when I'm about to wrap up the spider, I just love how the dots gave him so much texture. He looks very salt and pepper like the ones that we have here in the house. And then I do have several spots to clean up. I usually do that off camera afterwards just because it's not so interesting, but I am going to kind of showcase what that looks like with the pumpkin here. Oh yeah, I forgot to do some highlights on the camera, but you can see a couple of stray marks there, and I just like to clean those up as best as I can. Sometimes they take 2 or 3 passovers after I let it dry in between. But yeah, here we go. Row 9, we're almost done. I would love to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you have any favorites this week? I think mine's gonna have to be the spider. It's all coming together. And we just have this last row left. I can't wait. I will see you all next week. And then we'll do some pretty glitter paints too. Thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, and we're almost at 3,000 subscribers, so please, if you haven't yet, subscribe!